they have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Hour number 3 starts right now in the early line. I feel like I'm just getting loose, like getting the left arm loose right now. After 2 hours, feels good on a Tuesday. Joe and I haven't been together on a Tuesday or a Wednesday since August the 2nd. It's like old times, like good old friends talking sports here, having fun in the morning right here on the SportsGrid Network. So as we enter into hour number 3, I think we got good camaraderie again. I don't think we lost it, Joe. I think we're right here. I do.
No. Absolutely not, Donnie. It's like riding a bike, man. Just hop on and go, man. And that's what we're doing right now. Right into fading the public. You got to love it.
Yep. You do have to love that here. And yes, we love to take a look at the public. And by the way, there's no bigger events than in the NFL to fade the public when you start to wind down on the season where everybody's an expert out there over the next 2 weeks. We'll have fun with that. But we just finished one of the most exciting college football season that we've seen. We'll get to how the playoffs actually worked and if changes need to be made. But, Joe, I do want to start here. Entering into, when we first saw the expansion of the playoff coming, I said to myself, this is great because I don't like bowl season anymore. As a kid, I loved it. But it's clear that these kids are hitting the portal, not caring about those games. I don't feel like sitting back wondering about who the 50 kids on the team are actually left, or even if a team like I think it was Marshall that had so many people leave, they couldn't even go to a bowl game at this point. Right. So I love the way it's turned out. But what was your perspective from start to finish the first year of the college football playoff? Did you enjoy it?
Donnie, you and I talked about this last year when we knew this was coming, and my feeling was, congratulations, Boise State. You guys get the right to come in and get absolutely bulldozed by the Ohio States of the world or the Texases of the world. And that's basically what we got, Donnie. We got a ton of chalk. We got a ton of covers. We got a ton of big spreads. Nice stories. I think we got also, and it'll tweak, and I found it hysterical last night, Donnie, that they kept flashing the 8 versus 7 seed. Like any sort of tournament where Ohio State is the 8th seed, we got to reevaluate what we're doing here. But all in all, I think ultimately they got to the best team winning it. I think those Notre Dame and Ohio State were the two best teams by far. throughout the playoffs. And, you saw what Ohio State was capable of with that talent. And I think some of the other teams got a little exposed. But ultimately, I think it's going to be rinse and repeat from here on out. The seeding might be a little bit different on who gets the bye or what. But the reality is, like, whether it's 4 teams, 8 teams, 12 teams, the best teams are always in college football going to play for a championship. And the same thing in college basketball with 64, 68 teams. We're always getting the number 1 or number 2 seed, Donnie, ultimately at the end, are we not? There are no Cinderellas, and I don't see that happening anytime soon.
I always like to say, Joe, specifically in March Madness, like, we love the Cinderellas until they actually win a basketball game and knock out a blue blood. And then you get angry at the next game when the Cinderella plays a blue blood, when you're going to have blue blood versus blue blood. We'll get into that in a second. But we do like to reach out to the public at this time of the show and say, what do they actually think? Do we fade the public? Do we back the public? At SportsGrid, the question was asked today on our Fade the Public poll. After one season, how do you feel about the 12-team college football playoff format? There were 4 options that were given here. 1, it's perfect. 2, good, just fix the buys. 3, add more teams. And 4, too many teams. I retweeted all of the above because I would love more teams into it. I would love them to fix the buys. Even though I do think it's perfect the way it is now, it can be improved to make it even more perfect at that time. At no time I thought it's too many teams, because anytime, Joe, you're getting meaningful playoff games, which means 2 teams, we're not opting out, we're going toe-to-toe, may the best man win. I absolutely love it. So I voted technically good, just fix the buys, because of those 4 scenarios, I think that makes the most sense just to keep it as fair as possible. Which way did you vote, Joe, in this poll today?
Yeah, I kind of like that option there. And I do think, obviously, the buy and the seeding to me was the thing that stuck out the most. I'm not a big fan of adding teams, but I am a big fan, Donnie, of stop with the most deserving and just give me, if we're going to keep it at 12 teams, then give me the best damn 12 teams in the country that aren't necessarily the 12 teams that through this jumping through hoops are the ones that qualify because they play in conferences that the quality of football is not even remotely close to what it is in the Big Ten, et cetera here. So most deserving or best? I'm a big of the best as opposed to the most deserving.
I am so on board with that as well. And also the evolution of college football. We've come such a long way where newspapers, Joe, were just voting on who the best team would be, and that's how you win a national championship. Like all those disputed, like the 30s, 40s, and 50s, where the local Times Tribune said you were a champion, so you hung a banner saying you were the champion. We'd even have times where the UCF Knights are hanging banners in their stadium when they didn't win a damn thing out in the street, but just proclaiming themselves champions. Now at least we have a level playing field. And I do get to the point where I tweeted out this morning, and it said, basically, we didn't have a fluke this year. And it was the first year of the college football playoff. And yes, there will be tweaks made. We'll get into that in just a few moments. But nobody looks at Ohio State and said, they didn't deserve to be there. They didn't earn this thing. Yes, they lost in an embarrassing way to Michigan to end the season. But we knew how talented they were and should have made the playoff, and they did. And then they had to prove it. They had to win 4 games against top-ranked opponents to show themselves worthy of a championship. That's what I love, Joe. Because when we were growing up and watching college football, we weren't even getting 1 versus 2. We were getting 1 versus 7 and 2 versus 4 and voting on it here. So I love the fact where we're at right now. But you are correct here. There are adjustments that do need to be made. Like one of the adjustments I like, the pageantry of round number 1. Home playoff games in college football, they were awesome. They were electric. They were so much fun. Now, granted, did the results actually justify what we were watching? Not necessarily, but I love that pageantry. I would like to see the bowls just take a step back in rounds 1 and 2. You want to have bowl games for the Final Four. You want to have the championship game neutral site. I don't mind that. But for fan bases alone, reward the teams, Joe, that actually got the top seeds. Like this year, the best team was Oregon. The reward, a neutral site game against Ohio State. That didn't work.
Yeah, and the other problem that we were seeing is that it was very hard, these home games that they had in the first round there. It took place while school was out of session. Not every place was a great sellout. So the money factor comes with the bowl game. So by the time you get to that round, That's the thing you have to overcome if you're going to get a change. It is how you're going to make up that revenue, because you're not going to make it by having it on campus. It's not going to hit the same way. But at the same time, how in the world are you going to get fan bases that have to travel 2 or 3 times to go,
Crazy.
to root for their team? It's kind of bonkers. It really is.
No, you're right about that, because now you're asking, and again, the passionate fan base in Ohio State did that, but it used to be, okay, we're going to play in the Big Ten championship game. We're going to pay tickets to see that so we can get to the playoff or get to the championship game. Then when we go to the championship game, that's fine. Now you're saying if you are an Ohio State fan, theoretically next year, you go to the Big Ten championship game, you got to pay. Then you get a home game. Now you got to pay for that one. Or you get a bye, you got to go out west. Then you get another bowl game. Then you get the championship on top of that. And we're not talking about, Joe, I'm a season ticket holder. I get to get charged $125 a seat because that's my season ticket rates.
Correct.
In the playoffs, they advance. You want to go to the Rose, you got to fly out there. You got to pay to get there. And you got to do the same thing for the national championship and then now treat it like the Super Bowl. You're paying thousands of dollars for that ticket. Unfair to the fan, and maybe it does turn a little bit more corporate, but there's a lot of things that we can look forward to in the college football playoff. But again, Joe, for me, big success year number 1, deserving for Ohio State.
Well, especially because of what they had to overcome and who they had to go through and the path to get to the national championship game, and then how they won it last night. Absolutely the most deserving champion this year.
Deserving champion in the NFL. Who's it going to be? The Eagles, the Commanders. You're going to have the Chiefs and the Bills on one side. It's time to start looking ahead because those lines will change. Are you getting a better number early in the week, or should you wait? Let's talk AFC next, right here on the early line.
One of the weirdest nicknames I've heard in fighting. There's people have some strange nicknames at times, but the Lemon Killer. What do you even make of that? What is that about?
I don't even know what that means, but I'm gonna squeeze him like a lemon on the day we fight, and he's gonna pop.
Only on SportsGrid.
What if he gets Kellen Moore? CS guy, right? He was like supposed to be the coach in waiting when he was the offensive coordinator. Is that enough? Like, does Jerry pull the trigger for that? Or does he pull the trigger for Dion?
Mike McCarthy would have not let this play out this way unless he had a job. So I think McCarthy already has the New Orleans job.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFC selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
It's a heavyweight championship bout. We saw one last week in the National Football League. It was in Buffalo. It was fantastic, and it came down to a drop 2-point conversion. Otherwise, we might have been going to overtime for the right to play the Kansas City Chiefs. It's the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs this weekend. At the FanDuel Sportsbook, currently listed the Chiefs as a minus 1.5-point favorite. A 15-win football team at home trying to win a third straight Super Bowl. not all that injured, and only laying 1.5. Things that make you say, and a total of 47.5. So while we look at these two football teams, Joe, 15-2 Kansas City, 13-4 Buffalo Bills, we still look back. These teams played this year already. It was in Buffalo, and Buffalo was the better football team. But if we go back over the history of, let's just say, the past 5 years in the playoffs, your nemesis as a Buffalo Bills fan is the Kansas City Chiefs. So let's start there. These two teams playing. Bills won the game this year. The Bills can't beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. What's going to give this weekend?
It's kind of crazy, Donnie, when you think about it, right? The Chiefs now appearing in their 7th straight AFC Championship game. They're 4-2 heading into this game in the previous 6. They also have, 3 Super Bowl wins along the way and trying to become the first team in NFL history with 3 straight Super Bowls. It's just bonkers how good this team has been. We stepped away from the Tom Brady era, and here we go with the Patrick Mahomes era and Andy Reid. And yet, can this finally be the year, like when, Peyton Manning finally had the breakthrough and was able to get by Brady and company? Is this the year that Josh Allen does? I'll say this. I have been saying it for a while, watching this team a lot and having been a big supporter of the Buffalo Bills over the last 5 years since the Josh Allen draft. There is something different about this team this year. I don't know how to put my finger on it because they're not the most talented as they have been in years past, Donnie. But this looks like a different Josh Allen. This looks like a different, motivated Buffalo Bills team. This is not the wide-eyed, we're hoping we can get past Mahomes. You saw it when they played the first go-around in Orchard Park, and I think you're going to see it again in this one here. There's just something different about this Buffalo team. Their focus, their mentality, a chip on their shoulder. Yeah, it's very hard for me to look at Buffalo and think they're not going to have an opportunity to play for a championship because I believe they are.
You're right. And it's not the most talented Buffalo team that we saw the past couple of years. Somebody's saying like, wow, their best chances were probably in the past. Not necessarily. Because the one thing we always asked for a quarterback like Josh Allen, he just can't be your lead running back. James Cook has been phenomenal this year, handing off the football, scoring touchdowns, making plays in the passing game. That's really helped them out. But also understand this. You are going into Kansas City. It's going to be colder temperatures. Buffalo's used to that here. Buffalo has been in positions, Joe, to beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs and just haven't been able to get it done in some of the craziest circumstances possible. But the one thing we do look at in the tail of the tape, points per game, 31 points for the Buffalo Bills this year. The Kansas City Chiefs, 22.6. The margin of victory is usually razor thin in Chiefs game, and rightfully so, because they're not scoring as much. What I'm interested to see is usually Kansas City, with that great defense under Steve Spagnuolo, can usually set the tone for the game. And the Chiefs go, right, Joe? We'll score when we need to. We won't turn the football over, but the games will be close, which, again, increases that margin for error. I would love to see if the Buffalo Bills come out and take the lead in this game so we can get that old Kansas City Chiefs team where you have a swashbuckler quarterback making every throw possible and pushing the football down the field. That's the matchup that I'm most looking forward to. But also, just looking at the line itself, it's only 1.5. And Mike Blue was on with us, and rightfully so, thinking about this team won 15 games. They're at home. They win at home at a crazy margin. They're used to playing in AFC Championship games. They're used to being in the Super Bowl and winning Super Bowls. Why is this line only 1.5? Is that a trick shot here from the sports books?
Yeah, and the question is, Donnie, where does it go from here, right? Are we going to see a little bit later? Are we going to get this to 2.5? Will it get to that point? And I think already what you're seeing is a lot of teaser opportunities by getting the Buffalo Bills over a touchdown here, which I think is a great opportunity also. So it's going to be interesting to see, does this get to a pick'em or does this go closer to the 2.5 mark with Kansas City? Quite honestly, I think if it's going to go anywhere, it's going to go down. It's going to go maybe to a pick'em by the time we get it, because I just think there's far too much liability for sports books if you push this thing up and give the Buffalo Bills an opportunity to get in a 6-point teaser, 8.5 points. I just don't see the books opening themselves up for that. I think if anything, I think it's going to go down, and I think that's where the money is going to come in late here with the Buffalo Bills.
I'm so intrigued by this game. I really am, because it just baffles your mind. We understand this. And it used to be that way a little bit with Tom Brady and the Patriots. Like, if you hung a spread that goes, you're just asking them to win the football game in the playoffs in a big moment with Tom Brady. I get the same vibes from Andy Reid, the best coach in the NFL. Spagnuolo, the most underrated defensive coordinator, every week brings the pain with some unbelievable scheme to take away your best football players. But there is that Josh Allen effect. And it's crazy to say, Patrick Mahomes might go down, Joe, as the best quarterback we've ever seen statistically and winning Super Bowl wise. But I got to tell you, like, I actually think I'd rather have Josh Allen in this football game than Patrick Mahomes. Am I crazy thinking that?
Yeah. You're not. And again, there's levels to this. Mahomes is not going to win every one of them. I know everybody thought Brady was going to win every one of them too, but he ended up losing quite a few along the way here. So I do think the Chiefs this season are, they are absolutely beatable. This is not the Chiefs teams. I think they've had better teams in years past. And I don't think this is one of the better Chiefs teams. And I think they've had a lot go their way. And I do think the Buffalo Bills have a pretty good opportunity. If you're ever going to get over on Mahomes and Reed, I think this is the year to do it.
And also, we're not going to be worried about weather. It's not a dome team going outdoors. It's the Buffalo Bills playing in 30-degree temperatures, no precipitation in the forecast, and winds, Joe, under 5 miles per hour. May the best team win. No excuses. That's the way we like it. NFC action on deck next. We'll talk about it.
One of the weirdest nicknames I've heard in fighting. There's people have some strange nicknames at times, but the Lemon Killer. What do you even make of that? What is that about?
I don't even know what that means, but I'm gonna squeeze him like a lemon on the day we fight, and he's gonna pop.
Only on SportsGrid.
What if he gets Kellen Moore? CS guy, right? He was like supposed to be the coach in waiting when he was the offensive coordinator. Is that enough? Like, does Jerry pull the trigger for that? Or does he pull the trigger for Dion?
Mike McCarthy would have not let this play out this way unless he had a job. So I think McCarthy already has the New Orleans job.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFC selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We all know MVPs don't win the Super Bowl. It's not about MVPs, man. The only MVP, fine. Win the MVP in the Super Bowl. Nobody cares about the MVP in the regular season besides people that bet on it, the actual player themselves, and their agent that's getting a cut of the bonus money. Other than that, who cares? What do you care who wins the MVP? Like I said, unless you bet on it. Right? If you bet on it, fine. Then I guess you care.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
It was a snow globe for most of the game in South Philadelphia last week between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Rams. Looked like the Eagles were going to run away with that game, then the Rams would come back, then the Eagles would run away with it, then the Rams would come back, and the Eagles almost had one of the more devastating losses in their franchise history, which certainly is saying something. But they hold on for a 6-point victory over the Rams to advance to the NFC Championship game. But the Washington Commanders, went the hard way. That means they went into Detroit against the top seed, getting close to double-digit points early last week. Around game time, 7.5 to 8, depending on where you're getting those lines at from the FanDuel Sportsbook. But here we find ourselves now. Commanders, Eagles, one win away each team from playing in the Super Bowl against the AFC's best, which we just previewed, between Buffalo and Kansas City. The interesting part about this is you watch the football game that played out in Philadelphia. The Eagles are the better team. Yes, they are. But Jalen Hurts goes down, bangs up that knee. Quinyon Mitchell, one of the better young cornerbacks in the NFL, hurts his shoulder. It looks like they'll be okay for this Sunday's game, but we know what that means, Joe. Play on it a little bit, doesn't work out, you head into the blue tent, things aren't going your way, but that doesn't stop the odds makers, because at the FanDuel Sportsbook, Joe, 4.5 was the opening line in New Jersey for the Eagles as the favorite. And this morning, we were looking at 5.5, as you see that graphic. Live right now on FanDuel, 6.5 points here. The line running, Joe, in the Eagles' direction.
And that doesn't surprise me in the least bit. I mean, obviously, we have two games that people are going to be looking at, and we've already seen these two teams play. But, you know, we should also make sure that people understand the context in the two games. The first game, if you recall, Donnie, was a Thursday night game. I believe the Eagles were a 4 or 4.5 point favorite. The total was just about 50. And that game was 10-6. Washington was leading 10-6 heading into the fourth quarter. And then the Eagles ripped off 20 points in a row. As I believe they scored 2 touchdowns in 20 seconds because of an interception with Jaden Daniels, and Saquon ran wild in there. And then, of course, the other game, Jalen Hurts left, right? The concussion. He left early in the first quarter, did not return. And the Eagles were up in that game 27-14. And, you know, Pickett was doing his thing, but then they gave up 22 points in the fourth quarter. And all of a sudden, everything changed. So 2 very different games, ultimately, that we ended up getting from these two teams. The bottom line is a third go-around here. Boy, this is going to be interesting. Does this thing get to 7? I don't think so. I think it's going to hover around the 6.5 mark. I think it's going to stay just under a touchdown here. But there are some question marks around the health of Jalen Hurts here. And can the Commanders, can they learn from those previous 2 games? Because in the first game, 3 quarters, they dominated Philadelphia in that game. And then the mistakes by a rookie quarterback ended up costing them. Not the same in that second game, where the rookie quarterback made a lot of big plays when he needed to in order to come back and win that game. So what version do we get in this round 3 here, Donnie?
Yeah, it's a great point you bring up, because if you are looking at both of those games, you can't take all that much, out of those, because why? A rookie quarterback with his first true Thursday night football game against a division rival. Yep. And if you remember, Joe, a little bit of those ribs banged up coming into that game, didn't play all that great. Then you go into the next game and say, yes, Washington did win. Unbelievable comeback from Jaden Daniels, but Jalen Hurts, who ran for 41 yards halfway through the first quarter, gets knocked down. Kenny Pickett comes in. Still should have won the game, but they lost, and that's a credit to Washington for hanging around that game and getting, I think, 5 touchdown passes out of Jaden Daniels, which was incredible. But again, looking at the tail of tape, these two teams do like to score points, each averaging roughly 4 touchdowns per game. And the Philadelphia Eagles early in the season, one of the worst teams in football at scoring in the first quarter. Should I say not scoring in the first quarter, because they never scored there. Playing much better to open up games, but you're right. The question marks on Jalen Hurts. The reason that makes him an efficient quarterback is he can escape the pocket. You saw that early on against the Rams. Good weather conditions, healthy at the time, 40-plus yard touchdown run, the longest of his career. Do you get that same thing? Because the one thing you know, if the play breaks down for the Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels will make a play, and he's been doing that. And also, Joe, the whole concept of, man, you're expecting a rookie quarterback to win playoff games. He'd be lucky to get one, and specifically it's at home. Jaden Daniels on the road as a dog, taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That was a victory. Jaden Daniels playing the number 1 seed off a bye in the biggest game in that franchise's history at home against an offensive juggernaut. They win that game by double digits. That's as impressive as it gets. We got a lot more concepts to go over, which includes some of these actual numbers on the game for the players themselves from a prop perspective. Let's have some fun. It's early in the week. That doesn't mean we don't need to get you ready for these games on Sunday afternoon, and we will do that next.
You know, they have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time. And I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought starting would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because, you know, he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, coast to coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Road management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
If you're not having fun yet, I don't know what you're doing. The information is hot. The vibes are high. We're getting you ready for this weekend's action. We recapped an exciting game last night. We got NBA on the docket for just a few times here over the next hour or so. Let's have some fun. Let's bring it in. Donnie Rightside, Joe Ranieri. But now, let's get the prop perspective. Let's get the man of the hour. It's Tom Vecchio joins the Early Line here on a Tuesday morning. Tom, what's good?
I'm doing good, of course. Thanks for having me. We have obviously the two biggest games of the NFL year coming up. We got some basketball in between now and then. I'm ready to roll.
Let's do it. Let's roll it right out here because we got AFC, NFC Championship weekend. Exciting matchups here. Doesn't look like we're looking at a lot of weather conditions that could hurt us here. Totals both hitting 47.5. But let's focus on game number 2 on Sunday. Buffalo and Kansas City. Slight favorite for Kansas City, Tom. -1.5. Total of 47.5. These two teams met earlier this year. The Buffalo Bills picked up the victory, but this is the playoffs. This is what Patrick Mahomes does. He just wins. Looking at this game, what was your first look when you saw a slight favorite for Kansas City and that total at 47.5?
So I actually grabbed the total at 48.5 or 49. I forget what it is. I'd have to double check, but immediately on the under on that. You know, this is a game that I think both teams want to reel in. Like we have failed to see, or, you know, the story of Kansas City is, they're barely reaching 30 points this year. And of course they have a great defense. And, you know, on the other side for Buffalo, it's like, do they really want to turn this into a shootout? Like, that's the question I have is like, are we going to see 60 points in this game or are we going to see on the 40 side? Like, which is a more likely outcome? And how do the Bills want to play this? I think they want to keep this kind of close to the vest and limit the chances that Mahomes has. Like, how many times have we seen Mahomes with the ball with 4 minutes left, 3 minutes left? Like, they want to take those chances away, and that just means running the ball. And I think that opens up a lot of opportunity in the backfield for Buffalo. I actually don't necessarily think it's going to be a big James Cook game. Not saying he's not going to have a good game. It's just that with Ty Johnson and Ray Davis involved, there's just so many options that they can extend drives. And I think that would be the goal for Buffalo to come away with a win.
It wasn't great for Josh Allen, but it didn't need to be because they ended up winning the turnover battle, and he gets it done. So when you're looking at some props in this game here, if we're thinking the under, are we looking at unders in certain guys on both teams here? How are you approaching it?
So again, I think this has to be a run-first game for Buffalo, so I want to immediately turn to some unders on Keon Coleman, the rookie receiver for Buffalo, and we have seen him get very limited chances throughout the regular season. Now, those chances do happen to be downfield. There are some games that he's come away with 2, 3, maybe 4 targets, but those targets are 20, 30 yards down the field. Like some games he has like one reception for 40 some odd yards. So I like him under 23.5 yards. There's a chance, like my thought process is like, how many bites at the apple is he going to have at this, right? It may only be 2 or 3 targets, but one of those targets could put him over on this. So I understand that there may be some hesitancy for people, but at the end of the day, Khalil Shakir is that number 1 option for the Bills. After that, it's going to be Dalton Kincaid or James Cook coming out of the backfield. And then Matt Collins is being involved. Curtis Samuel is being involved. I just don't know how many chances Keon Coleman will have to actually go over 23.5. It may only be 1 catch for 30 yards, but I'm willing to go with the under on this.
I love the matchup. I can't wait to let it play out here. You're looking at 2 exciting quarterbacks, 2 great football teams looking to get to the Super Bowl. It should be a great one from start to finish. And those odds at the FanDuel Sportsbook at -1.5, they're expecting a close game as well. In Philadelphia, we do have some line movement here. The 3 o'clock game on Sunday afternoon for the NFC supremacy. It's Washington, it's Philadelphia, it's Jaden Daniels, and we think it's going to be Jalen Hurts based on some of the reports we have. But in the odds market, Tom, 4.5 at the opening number. Ooh, wonder if we get Jalen Hurts. We're now seeing 6.5 at the FanDuel Sportsbook this morning. And also another key number, 47.5, similar to what we're seeing in Buffalo and Kansas City. What are your thoughts on Washington and Philadelphia early week?
Yeah, obviously the line movement is interesting. Like I said, 4.5 now up to 6.5. The total, I have a tough time. Like I want to take the under just because I think that's the play, like what we should be seeing from these teams at this point in the season. But man, with the offenses that they've had and recent results from these 2 teams, it is really, really tough to take an under, especially if Saquon's going to break off some 60-yard run. He's going to push this game over by himself. So I have a really, really tough time with the under. I would lean there. Ultimately, I want it to start off slow. And as I always say, I want a live over. If this starts off slow and get like a live over 41, I think that would be an awesome spot to look. I actually have a lot of interest when it comes to Daniels in the prop market, specifically over 21.5 completions. He's been over this in 8 straight games, not including the last game of the season versus Dallas when he obviously didn't play the full game. But this has been the calling card for Washington this entire season with Cliff Kingsbury's like short passes, pick up first downs, move the ball effectively, limit turnovers, and really put Daniels in a good spot to succeed in the offense. So I like the completions, and I don't mind the over 15.5 for his longest rush. His rushing yards was sitting up at 55.5, but if he's going to be forced out of the pocket, if I do expect the Commanders to be playing from behind, obviously with the pressure that the Eagles can bring, Daniels scrambling for yards, I do think is a pretty viable outcome this weekend as well.
So I'm trying to figure it out, Tom, as to who does this benefit having seen each other twice? Does it help Daniels seeing this defense now for a 3rd time, or does it help the defense seeing him for a 3rd time? Because he's had some success in both games, and I don't know if the Eagles can fully stop him here. So I think whatever the answer is, there's your winner. The question is, who does it benefit?
Right, and I want to say that Daniels will have success in terms of yards and stats and hitting overs, but I do think the Eagles will come away with the win. So he may have like a little bit of a leg up where we will see him hit some overs, he hit some yards. Again, I think the completions will be there, but I think the Eagles are just a better team overall. So could he go, I think is what his passing line is at 222 or 230, whatever it is. Could I see him go for 250? Sure. Does he do that in a losing effort? Maybe, and I think that's what the outcome will be. So it does benefit him, but the Eagles are still the better team.
Coming into the playoffs, you're playing on the Green Bay Packers, who have a very good defense here. Jalen Hurts didn't have to do all that much operating from the pocket through a couple touchdown passes, but they lean on Saquon Barkley. Fast forward to the next week against the Los Angeles Rams. Bad weather conditions. Jalen Hurts banged up a little bit in that game. Didn't have to do much in the passing game. Ran early before he got injured, and Saquon Barkley, once again, a monster. The question I want to ask you is, you're now getting some really good pricing on A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Is that a way that you would look maybe later in the week or up to the game, depending on how healthy it looks like Jalen Hurts is going to be?
Yeah, on Sunday night when I was doing the recap show after these lines were first posted, I saw A.J. Brown at 60.5. I would have to double check to see what it is exactly now. But between A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Dallas Goedert, I think 2 of the 3 go over. that's the kind, and I think Saquon obviously will get his yards. He'll have 100 plus combined, 120 plus combined, whatever it is. But when it comes to the receiving market specifically, Brown, Smith, Goddard, 2 of the 3 go over. If the number dips to 58 or so for Brown, that's a spot I'll be willing to buy into. I also will have a lot of interest when it comes to A.J. Brown's touchdown prop. I think he can have the touchdown prop. He can cash that in, but may actually still hit less than 60 yards. So, I think it will be a Saquon first game, of course, and maybe a little bit of Goddard, a little bit of Smith. But Brown, I'm a little bit hesitant on.
Yeah, McLaren's going to be interesting with Washington, too, because they seem to be spreading the ball around a lot more. Brown getting a bunch of targets besides Terry. Who do you focus in on the Washington side?
So I really like De'Ami Brown. I actually tweeted that out on Sunday night when I was doing the recap show. Over 3.5 receptions for him. That line has moved a little bit. It was minus 130. It's now to minus 150. McLaurin, we know, is their best player in offense. I think we'd all agree with that. But the defense is going to be focusing in on him, diverting extra resources to him. So De'Ami Brown has been legit awesome. And if we look back over the entire season, we can't just take his season average, because in the beginning of the year, he was getting 1, 2, 3 targets in some games. So we have to actually look at the last portion of the season, specifically in the playoffs. He has been awesome, seeing 6, 7, 8 targets. So getting 3 or 4 catches on 8 targets, I think will put him live for this, especially if they're playing from behind.
Tom, let's really quickly hit the NBA. You got the Denver Nuggets at home against the Philadelphia 76ers that are reeling 13.5. Now the updated number as a favorite for the Nuggets, and a total of 229.5. What are we looking at?
I like Tyrese Maxey over 6.5 assists. I have a season-long bet on Maxey to average at least 28 points for the season. He can't be the primary scorer, but he's going to have to distribute the ball, especially with no Embiid. So he over 6.5 assists. He's had at least 6 assists in 8 of the last 10 games. I think he's live for this if the 76ers are going to keep this close.
How about that? The Sixers tonight, the city of Philadelphia, not really worrying about that, because bigger things are at hand on Sunday afternoon at Lincoln Financial Field. But that's why we needed Tom Vecchio to talk today. A lot of hot topics will certainly be around the rest of the week. Tom, thanks for joining us this morning. We got more hot topics next in the association. Stay tuned.
They have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
This guy Ovechkin, how he was injured and missed all that time, and the fact that he's still on pace to pass Gretzky.
I think everybody's rooting for Ovechkin at this point in time, and I think he'll do it as well. So it's a feat that no one ever thought Scotty would be broken. It's going to be broken, and it's probably going to be broken because he's not going to stop shooting.
Pharrell, coast to coast, only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Oh, the city of brotherly love, having a great time this football season. Not so great, Joe Ranieri, during this basketball season. 10 o'clock tonight, they're in elevation against the Denver Nuggets. That line, minus 13.5, and a total updated at 230. Points are expected. The Sixers expected to get being blown out tonight. And you look at the starting lineup, which does not include Joel Embiid. Gershon Yabusele, once again, looks like he's going to man the center position. Looks decent for the Denver Nuggets, though. Jamal Murray, Russell Westbrook, Christian Brown. You have who else? Porter and Jokic. The boys are back in town out there. Is this a blowout tonight for the Denver Nuggets?
And they've kind of reestablished themselves, haven't they, after that kind of shaky start? The Nuggets here, they've got everybody rolling here, including, and they have one of the better home court advantages they always have. And the Sixers, well, they're just a mess here. I mean, Joel Embiid for Philly on a 0-8 ATS run right now. 2-4 against the number when they are a dog of 9 or more points. Also 0-4 against the number as a road dog since the beginning of the year. You're talking about a Nuggets team that's rolling. They've covered 6 of the last 7 and 11 of their last 13 when they've had this kind of number to lay. Can we trust? You're the Philly guy. You tell me, is there any part of this Philly team we can trust to stay within this number in Denver? And that's the problem here.
No, because the Sixers are floundering right now. It's almost like, hey, we're waiting for Embiid to come back, and every time you do that, he comes back for a game and then misses 5 or 6 more with some new ailing injury and say, it's not his knee anymore, it's his foot. Oh, now it's back to his knee. It's back to his foot. It's his face. I mean, everything is wrong with Joel Embiid. Let me ask you this question, though, because tanking in the NBA is always out there. The Philadelphia 76ers will not get their first-round draft pick unless it's in the top 6. That's all it's protected for. Are the Philadelphia 76ers, Joe, best off tanking the season with a luxury tax payroll at this point? Could they even do that?
I don't see how they could do it, but the reality is, Donnie, changes need to happen. I don't know who thought by bringing in an aging Paul George, who's got a longer history of injuries than Joel Embiid does, somehow or another that was going to be a recipe for success. Although I will say this, Donnie, when those three have been out on the court, as little as it has been, they've been pretty darn good. But this is a very long season, and unless there is hope on the horizon that these three guys are going to get the fountain of youth and stay healthy, I don't know what else to do except maybe just decide maybe it's time to move on from Embiid and start from scratch.
Yeah, they just paid him a ton of money, too, understanding he had knee problems and he played in the Olympics, which is more important than the Sixers season. There's a lot of issues in Philadelphia. But when we talk about changes on the horizon, it seems like changes are made every day by the Brooklyn Nets. You never know who's in that starting lineup. The team stinks. They always seemingly on Twitter/X with insiders saying, hey, the entire team is up for sale. Whoever wants to get any of these players, come get them. They're getting 11.5 points updated tonight from the New York Knicks. This game is going to be a Brooklyn Nets home game, which in effect is probably going to be a Knicks home game with the fans in the building, and a 218.5. Another double-digit spread, which is a common theme tonight in the NBA, Joe.
Feels like this might be the Mikal Bridges little revenge game here. What do you think after his first game back in Brooklyn since being traded to the Knicks here? I think his total prop, 16.5 points. I'd be shocked if he doesn't go over that, considering the defense of the Brooklyn Nets is pretty much bottom 4 in just about every sort of defensive metric here. I like Mikal Bridges to have himself a big night against his former team, even with Cat and Brunson active here tonight.
Normal starting lineup looks like for the Knicks, anticipated Brunson, Bridges, Hart, Anunoby, and Karl Anthony Towns going up against the Brooklyn Nets. There's no reason to even go over that starting lineup there. Getting double digits, probably going to get wasted tonight. How about this? Oh, another double-digit spread from Miami. Now, their name is the Heat. Not exactly heated up right now with the cold streak in the United States, but the Trailblazers come to town. Then you guessed it, 11-point underdogs live right now in the FanDuel Sportsbook, and a total of 221.5. Heat Blazers tonight. We're looking at a blowout in South Beach.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't shock me, to say the least here, is that while the Yankees still try to figure out, why the Heat, rather, still try to figure out what to do with Jimmy Butler. He might as well sign with the Yankees at this point. That was a pretty big win, a good win there against San Antonio to kind of get everybody rolling. And listen, if it's one thing that we know, Donnie, in the NBA is that you can have all the problems of the world, but winning cures a lot of them. So I do think Miami at home, yes, it's a big number, but they are more than capable of handling this number against just a terrible Portland Trailblazers team who we're still trying to figure out. I don't think Robert Williams is even playing here tonight again. And Simon's also questionable. So this is another team where you don't know who the lineup is going to be night to night, Donnie.
So many issues with the Heat, too. Like Jimmy Butler, he is Heat culture, but now he's not Heat culture. He wants out of town.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to trade or give up a big package for it. Pat Riley's got a mess on his hands. We'll see if that gets better sooner than later. I'll tell you what never, ever gets better. It's the Washington Wizards, maybe the most insignificant franchise in professional sports history in the United States, taking on the Lakers. That line, 13.5 points, 2 touchdowns for the Lakers and LeBron James. Is that enough? Is it too many points? What do you think?
I think this is way too many points here. I mean, what are we talking about here? They've also, by the way, covered 3 of their last 4, if I'm not mistaken here, including, I believe, Jordan Poole when he faced the Warriors in that lineup, his former team. I don't know. Kyle Kuzma gone here or back in? I mean, Anthony Davis, they should have enough firepower here to at least keep this thing within 13, Donnie. It feels like an obnoxious number.
Yeah, so estimated starting lineup tonight for the Lakers. I'm seeing Austin Reeves, Max Christie, Rui Hachimura, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. That should be enough because the Wizards never pack any punches. The Wizards never bring the heat, but then again, they're getting 2 touchdowns out in Los Angeles, which is crazy. 5 games on the docket tonight, Joe Ranieri. 5 games, all double-digit spreads. Parity in the NBA, not happening tonight. But that'll do it for my section of the early line here. We talked a lot of fun. We talked a lot of good sports here, Joe Ranieri. You're going to carry us over the goal line, so vibes are high. Feeling good. Back in the mix on a Tuesday. Thank you, Joe Ranieri. I'll be back tomorrow. But enjoy Joe to close out the show next, right here on the early line.
You know, they have a lot of hopes, and they thought last year they were turning the corner. Even early this year, they start turning the corner, and then you lose 13 games in a row.
Edmonton chipped away, got a late goal, won the game 4-3. I felt like they dominated the third period. They moved the puck on that power play. It was an exceptional hockey game. It went over the total.
Only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this one? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than game time decisions. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFC selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in here to the early line as we look to finish up this edition together. We've talked, of course, national championship. We've talked a great Final Four we got coming up in the NFL, and, of course, a lopsided NBA card here tonight with a whole lot of double-digit favorites. We haven't talked some college hoops here tonight, and we've got some really, really good games coming up here tonight, some big matchups. And, of course, you don't have to look any further, and I think it's going to be a fascinating one, is number 4 Alabama taking on Vandy here. And listen, Bama had a little roadblock there a couple of nights ago, but they are certainly have been able to handle business against this Vanderbilt team in the past. They've won 9 of 10. They've also won, I believe, 4 of their last 10 victories have come over ranked opponents. So Nate Oates, gotta believe that he is going to have his guys ready to go here tonight in both a defensive mindset as well as an offensive mindset here. I do believe this is a Alabama team that will impose their will at home against this Vandy. 11.5 does not feel like that is going to be enough points here in order for Vandy to keep the cover. And then, of course, you got Mississippi State taking on Tennessee here tonight. And this is also extremely interesting, given the fact that we've got Tennessee coming in at number 6 here this year, has had some very iffy moments over the last couple of weeks. And I think this is a great bounce back opportunity here in Knoxville tonight as Tennessee is going to try to get this thing righted here. I think this number is a little light. I thought this might be a little bit bigger. In fact, I've seen Ken Palm in this fact should have been maybe even a higher number than what it is. But the Vols' biggest issue as of late has been their offensive struggles. And they have not been good, but mainly because teams that they've been playing have done a great job defensively against them. The problem with Mississippi State is they rank outside the top 250 in offensive metrics, especially when it comes to shooting threes here. This is a team that can get lit up from the outside, so I do think the Vols have a pretty good opportunity to be able to get on track here and handle business, and I think they will against this Mississippi State Bulldogs team that just had to fight Ole Miss in overtime on Saturday, and were they fortunate to win that game. They were outshot from the floor as well as the charity stripe, which is a problem for them. I do think the Vols here are a little bit overrated in the market still, but I like them in this spot here to bounce back and get it done. And then you got to question whether or not Iowa State laying 15.5 points at home is a great bet here. And I only ask that because we did just watch UCF take Houston to the wire over the weekend here. This is a pretty good UCF team, and they anytime you can give Houston a run for their money like they did, and Houston ended up coming back winning by a point, I believe, over the weekend. They have got some opportunities here. So I do think that maybe 15.5 points for Iowa State, even though they're the number 3 team in the country, I think that might be asking an awful lot for them. So that is a game I am going to be focused on here today. I think in the betting markets, it's going to be interesting to see if that goes up or if the money starts coming in and we start seeing that number decrease a little bit. And then you got Wisconsin out west taking on UCLA. UCLA is a favorite, and UCLA, let's face it, this was a team that Mick Cronin has been going through it, calling out his team, letting folks that he thought they were soft. And how did they respond? Well, with a losing streak of 4 games. That's how it went down until, of course, they welcomed in Iowa a couple of nights ago, and a 24-point beatdown over Iowa all of a sudden has the market thinking UCLA is worth backing here as a favorite of 3.5. I don't know. The Bruins, and it does look like Dylan Andrews, their point guard here, maybe one of the better parts of this team, is a go here tonight. I still don't trust UCLA. I do trust the physicality of Wisconsin. I think they getting points is a pretty easy bet there. And that'll do it. The early line wrapped up. We got another edition coming up tomorrow, and we'll see you then here on the Grid.